Hi everyone, my name is Abigail Toomey, and I'm a current master's student at the Kevorkian Center for Near Eastern Studies at NYU. This summer I worked with CLUSTER Cairo to examine the right to the city in Cairo. CLUSTER is an organization that opposes gentrification and focuses on preserving heritage, creative practices, and public space. Their work is deeply tied to the notion of public space as a human right. They work with marginalized communities to create small-scale public interventions, as well as carry out research on informal neighborhoods in Cairo. They focus on the needs of local communities, creating passageways, green spaces, and urban gardens to bring people together. They're responsible for exhibitions, public programming, online resources, and conferences regarding urban space in Cairo. This summer, my work with CLUSTER foregrounded a spatial and creative approach that expands human rights beyond its normative bounds. With CLUSTER, I worked to promote urban justice in Cairo through spatial dimensions. During my time with CLUSTER, I conducted research on the creative economy in Egypt, which is going to be used in the British Council's Creative Cities Conference this year in Cairo. We worked on initiatives such as bridging inequalities through creative economy in informal areas, in which we worked with student designers and local palm reeds craftspeople to generate new designs for the craftspeople. All the proceeds went to the craftspeople, and this was meant to promote local crafts by bridging the gap between local knowledge and academic knowledge. Cairo today is an economically divided city. The neoliberal shift, starting in the 1970s, saw the increase of informal, unplanned slums coinciding with the privatization of public space and the proliferation of gated communities. The government supported local and foreign construction of gated compounds while ignoring lower-income, informal communities. The formal housing market became unaffordable for most, pushing many people, more than 60% of the population of Cairo, to informal neighborhoods. These neighborhoods often consisted of land turned illegally into high apartment buildings up to 10 stories high, all crunched together. Often, these neighborhoods don't have proper infrastructure, lacking schools, water, sewage, and roads. The stigmatization of informal housing areas, as well as the lack of urban infrastructure, is a critical issue for many low-income communities in Cairo. I'm interested in the right to the city in informal communities and creative approaches to the right to the city in these areas. During my time with CLUSTER, I participated in an urban greening workshop in CLUSTER's art space Al Fabrica in Ardalewa, an informal neighborhood that borders the formal area of Muhandisin. This neighborhood is home to many immigrants, craftspeople, and artists. Outside of state control, the neighborhood does not have access to many services and infrastructure. The workshop for urban greening challenged participants to undertake small designs that include greenery to improve community space. During the workshop, I worked with a team of architects, designers, and students to design and implement an initiative that interrogated the question of the right to the city in an informal street. After speaking with community members, especially women, we chose a narrow passageway to be the site of our initiative. The women in the neighborhood told us that because of the lack of light at night, they felt unsafe in this alley, but they needed to pass through to get to the main street. During our workshop, we cleaned up the street, designed lighting, seating, decorations, and plants to make the alleyway more safe, inviting, and welcoming to all. We had a workshop with the neighborhood children to make kites, which were hung above the alley along with lights. And this is our design video from the street. This initiative is an example of thinking about the right to the city, where all people have a right to safety, lighting, and proper infrastructure. More than just basic lighting, we wanted to create a space that is aesthetically pleasing while still prioritizing the rights of women in the community. To me, the right to the city goes beyond infrastructure to include the right to safety, creativity, and celebration. This work can give broader insights into urban dynamics, not just in Cairo, but across the world. From these experiences with CLUSTER, I have learned more about urban dynamics in informal areas and have become interested in urban struggles to the right to public space. I'm applying all of this to my current master's thesis in research on the tension between formal and informal in Cairo. I'll end with this quote by David Harvey on the right to the city that I love. The right to the city is far more than the individual liberty to access urban resources. It is a right to change ourselves by changing the city. It is, moreover, a common rather than an individual right, since this transformation inevitably depends upon the exercise of a collective power to reshape the process of urbanization. Thank you for this opportunity.